Up until now, we have conceded for the sake of argument that Matthew's account of the tomb being guarded was itself a pious fiction. Of course, if the tomb was indeed guarded, then any and all forms of the theft thesis are immediately rendered without merit. The account of the guard has been regarded as fictional by some critics for no other reason than that Matthew is the only one who reports it, and he has a reason, or a bias, that would compel him to invent it. Of course, this assumes what needs to be proven. Why not say that motive causes an author to select from authentic history what validates their viewpoints, and why charge them with pure invention of history? That said, the question of Matthew's uniqueness on this point is a good one. I think it's sufficient to point out that only Matthew had the apologetic need to report the presence of the guard, but another motive for the exclusion of the guard from the other Gospels emerges upon consideration. As we said earlier, the intent of crucifixion was to shame the accused. Usually this meant that their corpse would be left to rot on the cross and denied an honorable burial. In light of this, the purpose of the detail was perhaps to prevent theft of the body, but historically, it's just as likely that the detachment was there to prevent rites of mourning at the tomb. That is, to stop any public displays such as we see at other funerals in the New Testament. The guard would be there to forestall the presence of family and disciples, or the specific actions of mourning. And so the lack of mention of the guard in 3 of the Gospels, and even Matthew's emphasis on the angle of theft, becomes immediately intelligible. The guard detail would have been a shameful thing to have to admit to. The guard of the tomb would not have to be reported, and indeed there was a clear motivation to leave it out. Only the eventual apologetic value of the guard that emerged in Matthew's context, once the story began to circulate in some areas that the body had been stolen, made it viable to report the presence of the guards. And with that, we'll close out with some objections that have been made to the presence of the guards. Not to say that they're very good ones.